but I kind of see our group, a band, as a support group as well, like a music support, for like any little anxieties we have with like performances and such. And one thing I do always tell them is that we are in a relationship together. It does feel that way though when you play with someone for so long. You are like one group. So
it's a bonus of having a fixed lineup, isn't it? 'Cause
exactly.
You've got the same guys every time.
Yes.
You know who you're working with. You know each other very well personally.
So yeah, no, like with session, you are working with different people all the time with their own rules and how a performance should go. It is nice just having a fixed group.
Hi and welcome to Season 2 of Big Gig Energy, a podcast by musicians for musicians, helping you get bigger gigs no matter what level you're at. I'm your host, Steve Leggett, and with over a decade of experience as a professional musician playing everywhere from pubs and functions to travelling the world in a ukulele boy band, I understand that going pro is often where the challenge really begins. But I'm here to help. Where Season 1 was primarily a manifesto explaining my personal take on what it takes to make it in what can be an extremely unforgiving industry, Season 2 will feature a whole ton of awesome guests that all musicians can learn from. So whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out, this season will hopefully be of use in helping you unleash your own big gig energy to work and play better in the music industry. So let's get to it. Well, hello and welcome to this week's episode. This week I'll be interviewing sax player and multi-instrumentalist Jerome Marcus. There's a bit of a story behind how we met, but it's relevant, I promise. In January 2018, not long after leaving Ukebox, I started working for Jack Ellis as a guitar technician at his company, Jack's Instrument Services here in Manchester. I still work for him now at his other company, Tiny Tone, making guitar scratch plates and other cool stuff. Not wanting to be melodramatic or anything, but getting that job with Jack was my first step in climbing out of a very dark place I'd ended up in at that time. I sort of go into more detail in that on my interview episode in Season 1 with Alice Lyons. But anyway, Jack and his employees at the time, Adam and Tom, were all fantastic mentors to me, and I'd never have been able to sort myself out, start gigging again, or get good enough with guitar tech stuff to build my own instruments without their help. So I'd often work late into the evenings on my own bass collection after work, and would listen to Jack's band rehearsing in the next room next to the workshop, which is how I met Jerome, and Andrew and Sharples, good grief sax and guitar players respectively. I knew Jerome and Andrew and were great lads, reliable musicians, and didn't gig very often at the time, so when singer Matt Phillips asked me to help him recruit a band for a residency at the newly opened Detroit bar in Preston in late 2021, I decided they'd be the perfect choices. Unfortunately, after 6 months and some of the most fun I've ever had on stage, the bar came under new management who decided to replace the band with a CD player and backing tracks. Something I'm absolutely, definitely, positively not still salty about years later. Anyway, as you'll hear, Good Grief are still going strong, and it was around about that time that Jerome's own musical career as a sax player for function gigs and Sax DJ sets really took off, leading to him going full-time very soon after. So here we are. I caught up with Jerome at Jack's workshop in Cheetham Hill before a Good Grief rehearsal, and if you listen closely you can hear some utterly gorgeous guitar playing from Andrew in the background. Let's go.
Jerome, welcome to Big Gig Energy. Thanks for coming on, man.
Thanks for having me.
So I know you're most obviously sax player. I worked with you in the Detroit band.
That's right.
And then I know you through your work with Good Grief as well, like original jazz group in Manchester.
Yeah.
Sort of. Tell us about your career. Really, how did it all come about? How did you end up where you are?
Just a lot of good fortune, really. A lot of being in the right place at the right time. So for the longest time, I was just trying to figure out how do I get into this sphere that is gigging, music, and getting paid for it as well. My very first paid gig was actually only about 6 years ago, and that was just working with someone who just asked, they were discussing with me, they were looking for entertainment for a party, a dentist ball, first time hearing of it, so a group of dentists meeting up and just celebrating their achievements. Cool. She was like, it'd be nice if we had like a saxophone on that as well. And then I was thinking, I do sax, but I've never done anything like this. It's something I've wanted to get into, but I didn't know the specifics. Straight away, she was like, right, no, I believe you. You're doing it for us. Here are the details. So I was like, brilliant, yeah, let's give it a go. The lead up to the gig, I was bricking it because I didn't know the process and just how to get everything done, really. I just try to use my past knowledge and then combine it with just giving a good performance. So we get to the gig, I meet the DJ, and the DJ's like, "Oh, what equipment have you got?" And I bring this wired mic, no mic holder either. It was kind of, I've actually got a picture of it.
Yeah.
It's actually, it's tied to like a crane. It was like dangling down into the bell of my saxophone.
Wow.
He was like, "Have you not got like a little clip-on thingy?" And I was like, "No, like I used to just go around with this."
If it works, it works.
Exactly. So I set it all up, and then I hand the playlist over to the lady who booked me, and her mates come over, and she looks at the playlist. She was like, "Could you do some different songs, maybe?" So I just sit there while they all just go through, pick about my playlist, and then they give me something completely different, which is fine because I'm happy to play over any music. So the show starts, I'm playing, everything's going well. First half down, amazing. Second half, a bit more interesting. People were coming on stage and like asking me questions while I was performing, which is fine. Like, but yeah, I managed to get to the end. Happy client, happy DJ. Everyone's good at the end, and that was my first ever paid performance as a musician.
Right.
And that was again just speaking to someone about music, because I think for me it is confidence, especially at that point. I hadn't done it. I didn't really put myself forward for musical opportunities.
Right.
There's a lot of people saying, "Oh, come on, it'll be okay." Even you yourself, Steve, you're like, "Oh, come on, you can do it, like get into it." So it was mostly through other people recommending me to get into playing live.
Oh wow! So going back even further, obviously I know you play sax and you play flute as well. What first got you into music? Like, how did you take up the instruments?
So I actually wanted to start in primary school. Unfortunately, they only had space for 3 students out of the entire school, and that was always booked up every single year. I did enjoy choir though at the start.
Right.
So we do musicals like Oliver Twist and Mary Poppins. From there onto high school, there was space to do music, and out of nowhere, Mum just asked, "What instrument do you want to play?" And just the first one, saxophone. Like I don't even know where it came from. Like probably The Simpsons.
Right. Yeah.
But a week later, I got my first saxophone and a VHS tape of how to learn.
Amazing.
I learned my first 3 notes, which led to Mary Had a Little Lamb, first song down.
Excellent.
Once I showed that I was interested in learning, I started getting lessons in school. I joined a couple of jazz bands and orchestra as well.
Yeah.
A year later, I was gifted a guitar. That was actually my second instrument. I've not kept it up now, but I was so excited for it at the time. It kind of took first place for a little bit. I don't know, most children, they go for a stage of guitar. That's so cool. I want to be a guitarist. And I think I went through that mini stage too. So I did guitar for a little bit, and then like sax and guitar is very different. Like you've got your chords and your guitar, and then your saxophone, you've got whole different responsibilities. Once I got to like chords and things, I was like, I think I prefer my saxophone now.
Right.
I like what I was doing here.
More of a melody player.
Yeah, exactly. And like guitar's obviously very versatile, but I just liked what I was doing on saxophone at the minute. So like jazz, classic chords, was able to play all my favourite songs and soloing as well.
Right.
Which I was just starting to get into. My very first improvised solo was at a Chiltern Arts Festival, which I'm actually doing this year. But this was back when I was 13, 14. My saxophone teacher put me on the stage and was like, "Listen, John, you're going to do your first solo right here, right now." And I was like, Clive, that was his name. I can't do this. I can't solo. I can't solo everything. What am I doing? What notes am I playing? I don't know keys or anything like that. He just put a sheet in front of me, and it was the blues scale.
Right.
In the key of the song that we were doing. And it was like, just go up and down. Just go up and down those notes. No problem. You've got this. I believe in you. So I'm there sweating, nervous, like, oh. So it gets to my solo, and I just do what he says. I just go up and down. Ba, 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 for about 24 bars.
Right.
Just that same riff up and down.
Wow.
So at the end, he just gets me on the shoulder, sighs, was like, "Yep, you definitely did it. You went up and down. Yeah, brilliant. But we'll try something different next time."
Yeah.
But I was put into a lot of positions like that as a sax player where I was, I'd say, exposed, just like learn on the spot. So that was probably a lot of my growth as a musician, is being put on the spot and just having to learn. So even in function as well, just being able to absorb on the spot and just go.
You just deal well with pressure, get chucked in the deep end and all that. Wow.
Yeah.
That's such a powerful way to learn how to do. Coming from, presumably you were mostly a reader up to that point.
Yes, that's correct.
And then having to learn to improvise, it must be such a change in mindset, going from here are the notes, here's how to play them, to do what you want.
Yes. A large part of that was when I was learning, a lot of the books that I used would have a written solo in the back, or it would have the chords there as well, so I could morph between the two. Mostly I'll just go for the written one, but it would help me get a better understanding of what makes a good solo, and just feel comfortable putting your own little bits in there. How would you want the song to go? Something I'd ask myself.
Oh, yeah.
And that helped me in the improvising side.
That's a really nice approach to take. And then obviously now you've sort of more gone the other way, I suppose. Do you find you do more improvising, or is it more set stuff now?
It's probably about 80% improvising. Everything's off the grid. That was my biggest shock. When I came into more session, I always thought it was more about accuracy. People are coming to hear everything right in the right point. If you're slightly off, then that's it. Your whole performance has gone down. Oh, you didn't play that note there in that specific point in the song. Sack him off. When really, they just want to see you going for it. So that was, not difficult, but I just needed to understand that was the way it is, especially in session. So yeah, mostly improvising. I mean, I am happy with that. It's something that I enjoy doing now. It's something that I do in my spare time. It's great for practice. Sometimes it is a paid practice that I do. But I do like to do written stuff as well, on the sides. If it's something like theatre, a lot of stuff's written for that. You do get some bands that have their own versions of the song. I kind of see it as a cheat sheet sometimes. So if I need to go and learn a song, it is useful to have that notation side. I could spend time working this out by ear, or I could just go and get the music. But yeah, definitely both ways.
So it's helped that you've had the theory,
for sure,
as well. That's really interesting. So going back to, obviously, we started off with your first paid gig and how that happened. How did you then develop from there? How did you start getting? Because obviously you've got quite a variation of gigs now between sax and DJ and band and original stuff. How did you sort of grow it from there to where you are now? So
this is kind of a little bit where it's being in the right place at the right time. So with yourself, Steve, at Detroit, once things stopped there, I actually got a message just out of the blue saying, "Hey, do you play saxophone? Do you want to do a wedding in Liverpool?" And usually I'd never say yes to a gig with so few details, because that's how it is. It's "Oh, can you do this gig?" You wouldn't get anything else. But I'll be a bit wary about it. So I was "Yeah, go on then. I'll do this gig." the singer was actually quite well known. I didn't know at the time. I was playing along with her and everything went well. We exchanged details. A week later, I got another offer from them. And I think they might have passed my number on to someone else, because after that, I was just getting random texts from people saying, "Hey, do you play saxophone?" I was like, "Yeah, I think so." It's like, "We've got this gig. It's tomorrow." Like, it was always instant work. You need to be available now, or can you sight read this music by next week? It's like, yeah. A lot of stuff what I usually would have said no to.
Right.
I started saying yes.
Oh, cool.
So I was trying to just make a good impression while I was there, so they would hopefully pass my information on to other groups. Like, yeah, he's available. He's a free gun, ready for work. Like, get in contact with this guy. Now, I'd say this is not necessarily a good thing. I was kind of spreading myself too thin across all these different things when I first started getting this kind of work. So you get the DJ work with weddings, function stuff, tribute bands, and I wasn't 100% sure the direction I wanted to go in at that point. Once I started like getting these odd jobs, and it was from there I was like, right, I need to like pick a path, just so I can get more work from this particular one. So I found like Sax and DJ quite a good one to do, and I started getting more work from that. Basically, when I would perform, people would come up to me at the end and be like, "Oh, what's your details? What's your card? Like, can you come and do my wedding? Can you come and do this?" And it was just mostly through word of mouth.
Right.
Just trying to go out there and be my own advertisement, basically. I'm still in the process of making my own website. Like, I've got my like social press pack and like just things to send to people, but most of them aren't interested in that. Just like, send us a video, or I've heard of this person that you can do it. Do you mind coming over and doing it for me?
I do find that a lot with websites at the moment. It seems to be, it's a lot of credibility. If you've got a website, it shows you're serious, but most people won't actually look at the website. Once they know you've got one, they just want to see that you can play.
Yeah, exactly.
And then that's all they need to know.
Yeah.
It's funny, isn't it? It's almost like a form of peacocking, just being like, yes, I have the thing.
Yeah.
It's like a qualification, almost, isn't it, having that? And to what extent are you specialising in the sax and DJ? Is that your primary focus now, or are you still pushing other things on the side?
I'd say, yeah, sax and DJ is my primary focus. That seems to be the most popular thing and the easiest thing I can get together at the minute. Not that I'm just looking for easy work, but it's just they're done and dusted. They're the tracks. A lot of them I know already. Funny story about the sax and DJ. I actually wanted to start it about 10 longer actually years ago. Ibiza, house and saxophone. A family friend of mine is a DJ in Ibiza, and I actually asked him, I was like, how did you get into the sax and DJ stuff? Like, is it worth doing? And I was like, no, it's dated now. No one does that anymore. Like,
wow.
It's like, there's no point doing it. So it's like, oh, right. No, this isn't popular then. No one, because to be fair, this kind of work in general is kind of alien to me.
Yeah.
So I just left it, and then over time I saw that people were loving it. I actually walked past a club. It was after one of our shows in Preston, and there was just a saxophone guy going like over house tunes, and people were loving it, like of all ages. And I was like, wait, I could have been doing that, like. Yeah. So once I realised that it was, I decided, I thought, right, this is going to be the path that I want to go, and I want to try and change it to something that I would maybe go out and enjoy. Not saying that the other Saxon house isn't, but I feel that this particular genre can be evolved. There's so many ways you can go with it. Like I said before, saxophone is such a versatile instrument. There's so much you can do with it. Like, it doesn't just have to be house music. It could be any sort. Like, I did a Valentine's show. That was mostly R&B, pop, soul, neo soul. Like, I find it works over a lot of stuff. If you like a lot of music, I find it works.
That's a really good approach, because it is one of those genres, the Sax and DJ thing, where people pigeonhole. They assume certain songs are going to be played, and usually there's a lot of sax players that will just play certain songs the way people expect to hear it. But you feel, because from what I gather, the whole point of it is that you're able to improvise and you play over the things and put your own thing on it. It seems weird that more people aren't doing what you've chosen to do there, and actually just seeing how far they can push it.
Going back to what you said about certain songs and what they want, you've just brought me to a memory. So just before I started, I did a gig where it was half function and a little bit of Sax and DJ as well. Now, I wasn't aware of what I was doing. It was like, Jerome, just play over some tracks. That's usually what I guess. Like, just play over some tracks, it'll be fine. So he actually gets to the DJ portion, and I'm playing the tracks, and the bride comes over to me and was like, I asked for the specific song. Now, if you've done sax at weddings, over dance and house music, it's a very well-known Sax and DJ song, Jubel. At the time, I didn't know it. And the bride was actually getting a bit angsty. She's just like, I want this song and I want it now.
Oh, so dear.
It's like, I'm going to have to play this now, just off the cuff. And it's not that hard at all. But you do get some instances where you do have to play the standards. You can't escape them. The standards everywhere. I mean, which is fine. I still try and get creative with those as well.
Yeah. I suppose that's the joy of playing such an expressive instrument, is that even if you're playing the notes as written, there's still a lot of room for you to... Yeah. You're still always going to sound like you. I love that about sax. Everyone has their own tone. Yeah.
Being woodwind, it is a lot of your own voice. Everyone's tone is unique to them. I think that's what I try to put across in my performances as well. Just try and make it sound as clean as possible.
How do you feel your actual performance style has evolved? Because thinking back to when we were playing the Detroit house band residency together, just in that period of time, I saw your stage persona, which was already great to start with, but it grew and you were using more of the stage. And how do you feel it's evolved since then even?
So going back to what I said before about when I believed people just go in there to listen, not necessarily see a performance, it was going to these session gigs and watching other people and just seeing how they interact with the audience. The audience are looking at the people who are doing the most, who are going around, jumping over and just giving them a real performance, really. Going from sitting down, having an A4 sheet music in front of you, to having eye contact with the audience was such a massive change. And it was at that point, it was like, right, I need to change up my performances and just give them something more. And over time, I discovered it's actually really fun.
Yeah, too right.
You're walking around there, people are dancing with you, giving you stuff back, and the more they give to you, the better you play.
Absolutely.
It's so weird. They hype you up, and it's like, oh bloody hell, maybe I'm all right. It's like, oh, let's give them something more. Then they're giving you more back, and then I was like, whoa. It's like, I'll do this more often.
Too right, yeah.
So I think, every performance now, I'm thinking like, well, where can I go? What can I do? Every microphone has to be clip-on now, wireless, so I've got the freedom to swing around and not smack microphones, which I can do sometimes.
Yeah, leading love trains around the dance floor.
Just make sure you don't take the train off the tracks. That's happened a couple of times as well. Keep it straight.
Yeah.
But I definitely feel like more of an entertainer now. Just go around getting people involved. I suppose it's an essence of drama and acting in there too. just like keeping yourself hyped, and again, audience participation.
Yeah. Is that in the notes you play are only part of the performance?
Exactly, yeah, for sure.
So, obviously, in addition to doing your function gigs and your sax and DJ stuff, you, of course, I first met you through your original group,
Yes.
Good Grief, which currently you guys are playing more and more gigs, doing more and more things.
Yes.
How do you find the differences between playing the functions and the original scene?
So it's both relaxing, more relaxing, and extremely anxiety-inducing.
Right.
So the relaxing side is because it's our own original stuff, I've got the freedom to do whatever I want, which is kind of what I do anyway. Like, there is structure, but because it's our stuff, I don't feel like there's anyone watching me or judging me like you have to do this right, it has to be like this. The anxiety-inducing side is it's our own original music, which when showing people can be more intimate than anything. It's like, this is our own sound here, this is the way like our songs go, this is where I improvise, this is the way I want the saxophone to sound. And we're instrumental band as well, so it's all saxophone melody, which at the start I didn't think, well, I wasn't sure how people would take that, because people like song with words. But over time, people coming over and they're like, what you were playing there, it really spoke to me. And I'll say those comments actually mean quite a lot. Because again, there are no words, but for you to receive the like what I was communicating through saxophone, yeah, it means a lot.
I suppose they're complementing the same part of you as if you were singing, like you were saying before about you use so much of your voice in your sax tone and your flute tone as well, I suppose, because that's the other, you switch between the two on certain songs. And,
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can get a bit crazy sometimes. Like there's a couple of more I want to add in as well. But yeah, I'm thinking about getting a little harness or like a quiver I can keep my flute in, so I can like whip it out.
Oh, like samurai sword style.
Exactly.
Like,
yes.
Yeah.
Like a sheath just to pull it out.
Yeah. What's it? No, it's nunchucks in it. They have on their back.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
That's a good idea actually. Of just like chain the flute together.
Oh wow!
There we go. I'm taking that away.
We'll get the patent on that. How has Good Grief developed over the last couple of years? Because obviously you are at a point now. You're doing more and more gigs together. You're pushing.
Yeah.
I think you've got an EPK out soon and a few other things happening. How is that looking, and how's the development process been?
I think we're working quite well considering how many other projects we've got ourselves and obligations. Getting the songs recorded and released has been a long process, so live. I'll start with our recording in Liverpool.
Right.
So that was 4 tracks, and that actually took over 2 years to do. It was a lot of like back and forth and making sure everything sounds right. I'd say I'm a little bit overcritical when it comes to my own tone.
Right.
So I think I might have slowed things up a little bit, but that is getting quicker. Again, with the boys' help as well. I'd say working with them as a band has made me a better player for both them and also function. They've kind of bounced off each other, both function and playing with Good Grief. It's like mostly developed my ear, and I suppose what's acceptable in a performance. Watching singers host a performance would help me in being able to host my own band, because that's something I'd never usually do. I'm used to just playing, like, there's your part, go and play, background character, but the feature is on us. So it was at that point, it's like, right, we need to, I guess, learn how to talk to the audience. And again, get that audience participation, eye contact, get them involved. We've been approaching a lot of venues, more than we have been doing. A lot of it has been getting just our shit together, everything in place. So we've got our songs, got the Spotify, artwork, pictures, just so when we're offering our services, people know who we are. It's like, I suppose it is sort of like a bit related, but I kind of see our group, a band, as a support group as well, like a music support, for like any little anxieties we have with like performances and such. And one thing I do always tell them is that we are in a relationship together. It does feel that way though when you play with someone for so long. You are like one group. So
it's a bonus of having a fixed lineup, isn't it? Because
exactly.
You've got the same guys every time.
Yes.
You know who you're working with. You know each other very well personally.
So yeah, no, like with session, you are working with different people all the time with their own rules and how a performance should go. It is nice just having a fixed group. It's like, right, this is how things go, and just knowing the order.
Yeah. Had you done much work in the studio before Good Grief?
No, not at all.
That must have been quite a learning curve then.
It was. My only studio experience was a microphone in my bedroom. Like,
right.
It was all brand new to me. Just recording, learning which microphones are best. I find a lot of producers, recording engineers, they rely on you, the saxophone player, to know what is best for you. And that was a learning curve in itself, because I don't know what's best for me. I don't know what I want. Like, do you want monitors? Do you want in-ears? It's like, oh, I don't know. I'll try it all, I guess. Very quickly, you find out what you do enjoy the best. Usually it's from a performance that could have been better. I was like, oh, I'm not bloody doing that again. Yeah, a lot of trial and error.
It must be so much more exposed, because I always find like playing live, you can get away with an awful lot in terms of timing and mistakes and anything like that. Whereas obviously in the studio, it's all there, naked, exposed. And in your case, you're the primary focus a lot of the time as the lead instrument.
Yeah, again, just try not to be too hypercritical on myself. A lot of the time, I play something that I hated, and the producer would be like, "Oh, that's amazing." It's like, are you serious? That was bloody terrible.
You hear that a lot. A lot of sort of the people sort of they feel bad after a take, or even about a whole song. They'll say, "I don't really like that song," and then that will go on and be massively successful.
Even our most recent song that we recorded that's coming out, I recorded a part for it. And I could just hear from the other room the producer be like, he's gonna hate it. Like, we love it, but he's gonna come in and hate it.
Oh no.
But I thought, you know what, if they all love it, I can learn to love it. As long as it's not awful, it's not making me go, oh, because it has happened.
Oh no.
Then yeah, that's fine. Because at the end of the day, it's not just about me, it's about everybody. It's a shared experience. If 7 out of 8 in the room are saying that it's great, they love it, I trust them. So, yeah.
Obviously, in the last couple of years, when I first met you had a bit of a portfolio career, and you were working as a personal trainer and a few other things on the go, as well as the music. And then, since I've known you, you've gone full-time as a musician, I believe.
Yes.
So how was that transition? How did you find, like, at what point were you able to go, right, I'm ready now? Were there anything in particular that made you feel that? And then how did you go for it?
It was more like, I can't bloody do these two things anymore. So I'd be on a gig, and the MD would be discussing the sets and like what the keys are and everything, like all the intricate details, and I'd be getting texts from clients be like, oh, have you got my food plan and like exercises for this, or can you give me this? Can you give me some exercises to do at home? And like, this is really difficult to focus on, like both things at the same time. I would finish a gig, say, like if it was a really late one, 2 in the morning, get home, and then be up at 6 for a client.
Nope.
At the start, it wasn't so bad, but as it was getting on, it's like, I need my rest.
Yeah.
It is interesting, because I've come across a few saxophone players who do fitness as well.
Right.
However, I think they were doing classes, so like they were able to do stuff like during the week, whereas mine were always on the weekends when I had gigs as well. Like sometimes it'd be before a training session or directly after. And it was like, I need time to be able to, one, train myself and practice as well. Because at that time, it was I only had time for clients and music performance. And I suppose, yeah, as I mentioned before, music was always something I wanted to try and get into. And once they were coming regularly, and I needed my availability to be free, I thought, right, I'm thinking I'm going to focus more on the music side. Now, I haven't completely given up on fitness. There are, like, the odd jobs that I do. I'm actually training Andrew from the band. And I think this is the way that I like it. Being able to train at my own inconvenience and put all my other focus onto music.
Do you find there's much of a difference, and what are the sort of main differences between working as, I say solo when you're doing sax and DJ, but that versus a band dynamic? How do you find the two in terms of what's easier and what you enjoy more? And
it is strange. It comes down to the song selection, really.
Right.
With sax and DJ, I have more control over what songs that I choose. The function tunes, the standard function tunes, again, live music was alien to me in these kind of venues. A lot of the times I listen to DJs. I did not know people got down to Proud Mary every single weekend. Like that was... That was, yeah, it was strange to me. Well, not strange, it was like, oh, so this is how it goes. Like, I do listen to a lot of, like, Sultan, I can listen to everything. But there was a point where it was like, I want to play some other songs. I want to try something else. Not like, I wanted to believe people wanted to hear something off just the usual 50 songs that were out. And then I found sax and DJ was my outlet to do that.
Right.
Because they're just like, right, you pick the playlist, go, or you'll work with the DJ. But I find like they're more experimental with what they do. Like, there are the big songs. But, like, for example, I was at a wedding and was playing, what was it now? Linkin Park. And I was doing saxophone over Linkin Park. It's not something I'd usually go to, but it was just something different. It was like, oh yeah, this is fun. Like, let's give it a go.
It's not Proud Mary or Mr. Brightside or any of the usual standard function tunes people always say when they're advertising for these things. So what's next for you going forward?
Well, now that I've done a lot of function and sax and DJ, I've been trying to figure out like how it all works. Looking at the source, how are you getting these jobs? Like, I'm being hired through people, but where are they getting the jobs from? Like, how are they generating leads, finding the clients, the wedding couples, the private parties? So I've very slowly started getting gigs like completely through me, using what equipment I had, and my own playlists. And just basically, that's through word of mouth.
So you're sort of working your way up the supply chain,
really? Yeah. Like, starting off slow, just like the odd few gigs. Like, I have been getting the odd wedding. I've got a wedding that's completely through me. And there's also a duo, which I've just started as well. That was alien to me at the beginning. But over time, I've wanted to combine what I've seen, so like duos that I've seen like at bars and pubs, and combine that with my own twist. It's like what I would. It's not like sounds like it's like just what I want to put on, but I want to believe that people want to listen to like some different songs.
Absolutely, yeah. I think it's wrong to assume what people want.
Yeah,
all the time.
Exactly.
Like there's certain things that's tried and tested. There are sort of median averages. So Proud Mary is one that's going to please the most people in the room. But that's not to say they wouldn't enjoy something different.
Yeah.
If it was presented to them. There's so many tunes that are absolute bangers, and people don't hear them very often. But when they do,
it's like September, Earth, Wind and Fire. That's usually the only one, and I figured that the others not play because, well, they're very technical. Listeners are like, fair enough, we'll see with September for now. But it is nice when you get a function and you do get like a curveball for it. It's like, ooh, I've not played that one before. It's like, oh, Sir Duke, I'm being tested today. It's like, I like this one. And then you get something that's really hard. It's like, all right, can we go back to the original, original set? But my own projects, going solo, Sax and DJ. There are different avenues when we're trying to explore with that. Different genres which I've always had in my head. It's just on the backlog of things to do whilst balancing function work and band at the same time.
So it's still very much a portfolio, just much more focused within the music sphere now. And so I usually finish these interviews off. I'll ask basically give us an album recommendation. It doesn't have to be your favourite, it doesn't have to be the best of all time, just what are you digging at the moment?
Let me just pull it up because it came out 2 years ago. Here we go. Infinite Falling Ground by Ivy Lab. So completely different to what I play. It's like electronic hip hop. I find that music very interesting because it's like very experimental. I do occasionally put my saxophone on it sometimes. They're not really actually a set genre. They just they just make a lot of good sounds and good music.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, recommend them.
Yeah, we'll get on them. Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast, Jerome. Really appreciate your time, and it's great hearing how you've done this. Cause it's such a varied career, and to go as well. I'm just fascinated in that people that go full time with music. There's so many people want to do it and never get to do it, and you have done it. So it's great to hear how you've done it. And look forward to seeing what you come up with next.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me, Steve.
Oh, thank you. Take care,
man.
It's
been great. Take care.
Well, there you have it, my interview with Jerome. Thoroughly lovely bloke, thoroughly talented musician, and it's really interesting to get his insights on how he's made it happen. It's such an interesting case study. As a friend of mine that's gone pro in the time I've known him, it's great hearing how that all happened, and particularly hearing about the sides of the industry I know nothing about, namely sax and DJ is a completely new one to me. I know guys that do it, but obviously I'm neither a sax player nor a DJ, so it's not a world I have any connection to personally, so it's great to hear what that's like. And obviously I don't want this to just be a podcast about bass players that work in function bands. It's great to open it up a bit, so some really welcome insights there, and I hope it's been of use to you as well. So thanks so much for listening this week. Thanks to Jerome for coming on, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Big Gig Energy podcast. This is the bit where I'm obliged to fish for engagement and stuff, so you can find me on Instagram as Big Gig Energy, that's BIGGIGENERGY, or you can get in touch via email at biggigenergy@gmail.com. I'll link anything relevant in the show notes below, but otherwise, if you've had any thoughts on this episode or would be interested in some one-to-one coaching for yourself and or your band, feel free to get in touch. Otherwise, do all the usual social media stuff, I guess, and let's keep the discussion going. Many thanks as ever to all my supporters and collaborators, and as always, best of luck with your next big gig.